Whether called medical alarms or medical alerts, PERS, Personal Emergency Reporting Systems, provide confidence and peace of mind for the sick, elderly, and disabled and their families. As the population has grown older and the cost of assisted living continues to rise, many seniors have discovered that these devices enable them to live independently in their own homes. So here to talk more about this is Steve McNally. Steve, thanks for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Jeff.
Well, we just appreciate you being here, and like I said, many people have seen TV commercials. We've seen the lady on the ground, and they've heard something about these type of things. But tell us really, what are these devices and how are they helpful?
Well, like you say, most people are familiar with the old, I've fallen and I can't get up. The biggest thing about a PERS device nowadays, Jeff, is it provides that communication link between the client and help, whoever that might be for them, whether it be emergency services or possibly just a neighbor or a loved one.
Well, who should consider using one of these?
Well, obviously anyone living by themselves find these devices to be very helpful and useful to them. But even a lot of our clientele are very active seniors, people that get out and have just normal daily activities, possibly with a medical history problem in the past.
This would also work for someone who lives with family members, say lives with an adult son or daughter who goes to work, for example. So
absolutely.
They could be sharing a house, but not there at the same time all the time.
Exactly. Even many of our seniors that have these devices, you might have an active senior where one loves to be outside in the backyard gardening, has an issue there. They're able to at least get communication with someone, whether it be someone in the house or the monitoring end on as far as the security goes.
Well, I know these type of devices were created in the 1970s in Germany, and as you can imagine, a lot of technology has probably changed since that time. Tell us a little bit about the technology that's in use today. I know you brought an example here. I know there are many products out there, but let's talk about technology where we stand today.
Absolutely. And as you can imagine, anything in the electronics industry, the technology has come light years. These devices nowadays, number one, they provide two-way communication. Number two, they are, as far as pendants and things, these are waterproof. There can be many additional items that can be connected to them, as far as monitored smoke alarms, monitored CO2 devices. Inactivity reporting is a capability of the device that it can...
Now, what do you mean by inactivity reporting?
Well, the devices can be programmed for different periods of time, whether it be an 8, 10, 12-hour period of time. And if there is not activity sensed within the home, either by the use of a motion sensor, which is a very normal device used, or even by placing sensors on, say, doorways in the home or a refrigerator door. These are typical areas that you will see activity in the home, and if we don't see that, or the device does not pick that up by its sensors, that will alert the appropriate personnel.
So it kind of works both ways, or can be set up to work both ways. The organization or the person who receives the call could be alerted by someone pushing the button and activating it, or by inactivity in the household.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I believe we've got one of the buttons here. So this is really all that has to be worn by the person, right?
Correct, correct. The client has a choice of pendant. That is a pendant with a neck lanyard there, of course. They can be wristband worn. They can be worn as a pager on the hip. Just depends upon what the client's preference is. These pendants are all waterproof, so it allows you to use them in the bath or shower, where over 50% of slip and falls happen within the home.
Well, now, who gets these calls?
Well, the calls when the pendant is depressed, or one of the other peripheral devices signals the base station that there is a problem, that call is then directed to a central station. It is a UL listed central station we use right here in Pensacola, so it is a local company as well. There the person gets someone that has been trained to deal with medical related situations.
What type of training do they actually get, as far as being able to talk people through certain things, or to ask them questions? If they call them back, do they call them back? Do they call someone else? When do they call an ambulance, for example?
Sure. The button is depressed, you get that person on central station that has been, as I said, specifically trained to deal with various medical situations that do typically happen in the home. From that point, they will communicate through the base station with the client, find out the particular needs, what's going on in the home. Obviously, if they get no response at all in a situation where maybe someone is slipping and falling and knocked themselves out, emergency services will be dispatched, as well as they will start to go down the list of names that were provided by the client of people to notify in case of an emergency.
So they can designate, you know, if you don't hear from me, this is who I think you should call.
Absolutely.
That person. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, obviously the pendant is nice and easy and small. This machine right here doesn't look to take up much more space than a clock radio, so it looks pretty easy to use. Now let's talk about what else is required to make it work. Do you have to have a LAN telephone line?
Yes, a standard hard line coming into the home works best for these types of devices. So a dedicated phone line for the device. Not necessarily a dedicated line, it can be just the normal line coming into the home to use to allow the base station to communicate with that central station.
Okay. One question that I have, and that a lot of our viewers may have, are these devices typically covered by insurance or Medicare, Medicaid, that type of thing?
Sure. Private care insurance does help with these, as well as short-term and long-term supplemental type policies. Presently, Medicaid and Medicare do not help with the cost associated with these units.
So, but there are some conditions, then they would just need to talk with the company that they're working with and their insurance company to see what they may be able to work out.
Exactly, exactly. It is different insurance carriers have different requirements as far as what they would need.
Okay. For those who just need to pay for the service, just on average, I know we're talking about a huge industry, but what are the average costs per month to operate one of these systems?
These PERS devices, typically an upfront cost of anywhere from $200 to $400. And a lot of that will depend upon additional supplemental devices that go with them. And then we're looking at a monthly rate of less than, or excuse me, a daily rate of less than what a cup of coffee would be. You're looking at about 87 cents a day for the monitoring service.
Well, in terms of security and safety, you know, everything is worth it. So we appreciate you being here, and thank you, Steve, and provide some great information for our viewers.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.